Steam eruptions are ripping through the ground right now. Scientists just clocked the fastest ground rise in decades. This is Europe's most dangerous supervolcano. 500,000 people live directly on top of this bomb. Pressure deep underground is spiking dangerously fast. New vents are blasting superheated steam into the air. No one knows if this is just a vent or a warning sign of the catastrophe coming for us. What is really pushing this volcano to the brink? Finding the source starts with a flood of terrifying numbers. Latitude, longitude, and altitude stream in from space. A network of GPS stations watches every move. Each station tracks the ground shifting beneath your feet. Some move less than a millimeter. Others creep higher with every single hour. One station near the city center is screaming danger. It tracks a steady, terrifying climb. These rates have not been seen since the early 80s. Scientists race to map the nightmare hiding below. They run complex math to predict the blast. These calculations reveal the shape of the pressure pocket. In this case, the numbers point to a source 2 miles down. A 48-hour window reveals the speed of the rise. It is not just rising, it is accelerating. A sharp upward bend signals a massive change underground. This stands out from the gentle slopes of the past. Every single point is checked against tilt meters. These sensitive instruments feel the slightest tip of the earth. If GPS and meters match, the threat is real. The data gains deadly weight. Any mismatch sends the models back for revision. The team overlays these results with satellite maps. Broad colors show where the ground is rising fastest. This could happen to your town. These images update every time a satellite flies over. They show the deadly footprint of the uplift. The hot zone centers on a few square miles. The rest of the caldera is quiet for now. This proves pressure is building in a localized bomb. It is not spread across the whole system. The next step is identifying the enemy below. We must know what drives this deadly pattern. Is it a simple pocket of pressurized fluid or a massive flat sheet of magma? We cannot rule out any possibility. Calculations test every terrifying scenario. They compare real ground movement against theoretical models. The best fit is a reservoir 2 miles deep. The error margins are tight enough to scare us, but they leave just enough room for doubt. This distinction is a matter of life or death. A compact chamber acts differently than a broad intrusion. Experts present the findings in time-stamped graphs and diagrams. They show the limits of what we know. Error bars capture the uncertainty of our survival. Every spike is scrutinized for signs of disaster. They compare this to the crisis of 1982 or the ancient records before the last massive eruption. This is not history, it is a warning. In the end, the numbers point to a terrifying conclusion. Pressure builds deep below, and the ground responds instantly. Steam flashing underground is not just water turning to vapor. It is a violent transformation that shatters solid rock. Water trapped deep underground sits under immense heat. Temperatures soar above 570 degrees Fahrenheit. When a fracture opens, pressure drops instantly. Liquid flashes into explosive steam. Lab tests show this releases 10 times more energy. Dry gas pushes gently compared to this. The difference is lethal. Steam flashing acts like a fragmentation bomb. It sends sharp rock flying at hundreds of miles per hour. Volcanologists use high-pressure chambers to simulate the blast. They load rock samples and saturate them with water. Then they drop the pressure without warning. The result is immediate and violent. The sample shatters and ejects material instantly. This mimics exactly what happens beneath the caldera. The energy released depends on how much water is hidden. Even a small increase pushes the system past the breaking point. This is especially true in the porous rocks near you. The cap rock on top acts as a seal. It holds the pressure back until it cannot. Faults and fractures give way first. The weakest points always fail. Once breached, all that stored energy unleashes hell. The blast fragments rock and generates massive shockwaves. These trigger earthquakes you can feel in your living room. Studies have linked these sudden bursts to new vents. They often open in clusters along known weak spots. This could happen right under your feet. Real events amplify this destruction massively. A lab sample cracks loudly. Underground. This opens vents yards wide, ejecting steam and rock. The speed of the debris matches the worst bursts we have seen. It hits with the force of a bomb. Rare minerals found in the debris provide the proof. They confirm the steam came from shallow, deadly sources. It was not just deep magma. This explains why sudden bursts here are so lethal. The energy stored is far greater than gas alone. It is a hidden bomb waiting to go off. When released, it turns the ground into shrapnel. It sends debris skyward in mere seconds. We must understand exactly when the rock will fail. Knowing these limits is the only way to survive. Share this video before it is too late. Comment your location below. Imagine waking up every morning on top of a ticking time bomb. Grandma remembers the evacuations of the 80s like it was yesterday. Her daughter runs a cafe while the grandkids skip school for survival. One tremor hits, and the youngest grabs her shoes to run. Bags are packed, gas tank full. They are ready to flee. Grandma Maria counted 7 nights sleeping in the car this spring. Antonio watches his souvenir shop die a slow, painful death. His sales crashed 60% in May. That is catastrophic. Tourists used to flock here. Now they are too scared to visit. Antonio stares at his receipts. One postcard sold is a good day. The town is losing over 120,000 euros every week. Restaurants are empty. Hotels are begging people to stay. It is desperate. One owner says the fear is eating the city alive. Morning coffee comes with a side of panic. The vibe is terrifying. Schools shut down. Alerts scream on phones. This is the new normal. Neighbors share escape plans because they know no one else will. Parents are terrified. Business owners are going broke. They need answers. Everyone is just waiting for the big one to hit. In 1983, families abandoned their homes in a heartbeat. 40,000 people were forced out. Their lives changed forever. The ground rose 5 feet in 2 years. Earthquakes did not stop. The government drew red lines on the map and said, "Get out." Old records show the absolute chaos that followed. Schools emptied out. Businesses vanished. The city was bleeding people. Photos show families crying at the harbor, waiting for rescue buses. The ground rose so high the harbor water disappeared. Boats were stranded. The earth was pushing up faster than anyone had ever seen. One teacher lived in a shelter for 3 months with nothing. They felt like exiles in their own country. Some never returned. The city lost a third of its soul. Now, over 500,000 people live in that exact death zone. The elders remember the horror. They know it is happening again. Officials have the evacuation maps ready. This is a warning. In Pozzuoli, history is repeating itself. Then the ground shook. Scientists watched their screens light up with red dots. It began. The numbers started climbing fast. 5 quakes. Then a dozen. By midnight, 90 tremors hammered the city. Most were small, but the energy was focusing like a laser. They struck right under the sulfur fields. The swarm was intensifying. 60 more quakes hit the next morning. Apartments were swaying. This pattern screams danger. The pressure is building up way too fast. Scientists see the rocks fracturing. The earth is breaking apart. This is not random. The faults are unzipping right near the crater. 3 big quakes hit that afternoon. The ground rolled hard. Magnitude 3.4. People ran for their lives. The danger is right under your feet. Readings show trouble 2.0 to 3.5 kilometers down. This matches the pressure cooker waiting to blow. The ground shook every 2 to 3 minutes at the peak. We have not seen this pace since the 1980s crisis. The swarm slowed by evening, but February 15th and 16th were a compressed history of terror. 150 warning shots fired from the earth. Each had a precise time, magnitude, and depth. Scientists compiled the raw data and death profiles. The numbers left zero doubt. Pressure is skyrocketing beneath Pozzuoli right now. The city switched to continuous emergency updates. The monitoring room issued a red flag bulletin at 7:30 a.m. They reported the ground physically lifting up. Shallow quakes are hitting the Solfatara and Picciarelli fields. No eruption yet, but you need to be vigilant. Crews rushed in with portable monitoring stations within hours. They brought mobile gas analyzers and microphones. By noon, sensors in the city had doubled. They placed them on your evacuation routes. Every station sends real-time data to the dashboard. They are watching the threat evolve. Signals are mapped right over your homes and businesses. A terrified crowd gathered outside City Hall. They held signs demanding the truth about safety. Officials dodged questions about building inspections. Parents demanded specifics. Will schools close again if the tremors continue? What triggers the order to run? Is it another magnitude 4 quake or a gas spike? The official rules are buried on a website. They list seismic intensity and gas flux triggers. Emergency commissions review these weekly but keep secrets. A spokesperson faced the cameras that afternoon. She listed the new technical specs. It sounded like a war room briefing. Sensors capture sub-microsecond timing. They look for carbon dioxide spikes over 2,000 tons daily. The alert level stays yellow, same as last decade, but the stress on your family is critical. Our words were chilling. We provide transparency, but we cannot promise certainty. By evening, the panic reached a boiling point. The public is done with caution. Protesters blocked the office doors. They demanded raw data and an evacuation timeline. Managers hid behind closed doors. They debated sending buses or waiting for readings. This is a mess of tech and bureaucracy. The government loses control when the earth moves. Right now, 500,000 people live on a bomb. Scientists admit they cannot predict the explosion. Every tremor is a reminder of the threat. Pressure builds beneath Pozzuoli, and we need answers. The ground might settle, but questions get louder. Share this warning before it is too late.